Hi, everyone. This is Suzanne Wagner. I decided today to do an update on the global astrology for 2022. And I went through and listened to what I had put together like in December of 2021. And while it completely applies, it's interesting how certain circumstances will create a slant or a trend pulling it one way. So, I decided to do this update and kind of look at it now with the new eyes. Because when I did it, we didn't know about Ukraine. I knew something was happening in January, February. I knew it was happening, but I didn't know it was Ukraine. So we've got these additional pieces that come in. And as those additional pieces come in, we start to look at different questions and we start to look at things from another angle. So this is what I am looking at this particular time. Thanks for listening and joining me. As we continue to question what is freedom, the pollution of minds and the division of hearts clearly seems to be ramping up. While we have freedom to speak our mind in this country, it matters not to some if we do. Clearly, the ability to speak from a place does not necessarily give it the power to provoke change. We are learning to decide on a personal level what we want in a world that is clearly requiring us to have much more empathy and compassion. We are seeing growth in that area of compassion from the reflection of what is happening in Ukraine. The level of support that we are giving and a lot of other countries are giving shows that at least we are being helpful on governmental levels, and mankind is responding with many ways of support and compassionate help for the Ukrainian people. And on that level, I applaud us. We're doing great. On many fronts, we are unified around helping others as long as they are not right here at home. Here in the U.S., the sniping, malicious, and vicious forms of engagement continue to shock and undermine trust. I find it interesting that we can do it for Ukraine, but not here at home for each other. Metaphorically, we have Russian forces trying to destroy democracy right here and right now. It is just that they are not actually real Russians, but traitors to the American ideal, and their intention is destructive and divisive. We are at war with each other in this country. Many are at war with our own government and justice systems. We see others attacking communities, groups, and those that want progress by those with big egos that use their zealous, rigid, antiquated, and biased opinions to separate, blame, and intentionally harm others. It is clear that underneath all these terrible events are centuries of unprocessed anger, resentment, and trauma. This was to be a year where the healing can begin. I think it's probably going to happen towards more the end of the year than right here. But at the time that I'm writing this and talking about this, which is May 13th, 2022, even more separation is occurring because we are in between these two eclipses. And there seems to be no opening for a healing conversation. It's really sad. It is time to choose where each of us stands in this historical moment that will be recorded for posterity and taught to school children for centuries to come. Are you standing as a legion for the angels and love? Or are you choosing to be a soldier on the battlefields of fear, separation, and hate? There are really only two choices. We can commit to lifting others up or in tearing others down. Some feel that there are dark forces trying to tear down the sense of unity and belonging that has been the hallmark of the American dream, and they are not wrong. They do that by destroying trust and fueling the differences rather than celebrating them. They do that by manifesting laws and restrictions for certain groups. Those laws are intended to suppress that group's power, influence, and future impact. We can nourish each other and support connection through affiliations that allow for understanding and compassionate exchange, or we can continue to let the voices of hate rip away the foundations for unification that historically attempted to allow everyone to have a fair chance. We are in a year where many breakthroughs can happen in healing modalities, but instead We are experiencing huge numbers of people in the medical and healing fields quitting and walking away because of the levels of stress that are killing them. That is going to be a terrible problem over time if we cannot stop that trend from continuing. There will be large shifts that are positive in the areas of creative art, in the forms of outside social events that bring many artists together. Yay! We need a lot of rapturous expression through music and theater. It is in these places that the diverse voices can express their thoughts most favorably. Neptune guides us to the deepening of our magic, intuition, and spiritual expression. There are answers that we seek inwardly, and there is a huge desire to explore that, which is supportive of us connecting to the earth and others. But Neptune can make those without internal resources want to escape and check out from this reality. That can lead to many deaths from overdoses and those that have not enough coping skills to navigate these very troubled waters. Oh, and water issues are going to escalate at a rapid rate, and those that do not leap now into finding water resources that are going to carry us through the next 70 years at least are going to miss the very small window that is presently occurring. Expect dramatic weather events to shatter old records, and some will find that the realization of the full impact that has been warned for decades. We will be hit on all levels, volcanoes going off, hurricanes at a magnitude unprecedented historically, tornadoes and weather patterns not seen in certain areas, and certain rising oceans encroaching and devouring islands and coastlines. The situations between the old and the new are going to show us a side from people that is going to be shocking, if not expected. Exclusionism is going to gain footholds, but that is going to rally the forces of the common people to levels we have not seen in this country since the 60s. Yay! More things will move aggressively towards sustainability rather than consumption. As quantities diminish in this pattern of continued shortages, quality is going to become essential. More is not always better. Those that hold fantasy that is not grounded by reality are going to be hurting. Saturn shows us our karma, and Uranus is in full rebellion. When we try to suppress one group instead of listen, the consequences lean towards destructive forces being employed to control people instead of utilizing the more time-consuming patterns that are going to be required from deeper caring. So, that's the update. Sounds a little intense. Sorry about that. It is a little intense. Maybe it's the influence of it being in between these two eclipses coming up. But as an intuitive, I can tell you that I am talking to people, and people are in a level of personal distress and upset and overwhelm I've not seen as a psychic in my entire life. And I'm 61 years old, and I lived through the 60s. So I can tell you that I haven't seen this. I haven't seen this. Talk to any intuitive, talk to any psychologist, and they will tell you that they've not seen people this distressed and anxious in a very long time. So I want everyone to take care of themselves. I want everyone to listen to their deepest self. I want everyone to come together and find commonality and reach for understanding rather than division. I really believe we can do this. I really believe that even though the U.S. is in a Pluto return, I do not believe that this moment has to be the destruction of democracy, the destruction of the American ideals and visions. I believe that we can revamp it. I believe we can rally and we can come together and we can create a better form of democracy, a better republic, a better way with more caring and more love. And I believe that we can change laws. There have been terrible laws throughout the history of this country that have isolated and separated people. And we're continuing to do that. But it's just now super obvious because we've got so much on media and we can see it on television and listen to it on the radio, and we can hear it and see it and sense it, and we can't ignore it anymore. And that's what this particular reading was about, was that we can't keep ignoring what's happening. We have to come together. We have to speak up. We have to take back the control from those that intentionally are trying to use terrorism and destructive tendencies to destroy what we are. Don't let them do that. Don't let them destroy who you are and the goodness that is inside and the caring. Because I know Americans are deeply caring people. I know that they're amazing and kind and generous and wonderful people. And do not let the few collapse you into fear and contraction and hate. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because they end up winning and we end up losing. And I am fighting for the goodness that is the heart of the American people. And I believe in it. I was born here for this moment, and I believe you were too. Let's do this together. Thanks, everyone.